Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back to another episode of Two Girls, One Doc.
One Doc.
It's your girl, Beedie.
It's Foreign's the fiance.
And we are back.
We are back. Back like
Sure are.
a crackhead at rehab. Can't remember the lyrics, but yeah, you get the point.
Like that, just like that, yeah.
Yeah.
So what are we doing today?
We are doing a documentary called I Want My Sex Back. And it is about... It's about people who have transitioned and regret it, essentially.
And some of them have detransitioned.
Yeah. Back to what their born sexual identity, I guess. But yeah, I found this documentary is kind of I find it hard to narrate. So I'm literally going to have to talk a lot about the content. I can't give you guys much. It was weird. Like it bounced from person to person. And then, I mean, I get what they were trying to do. And again, this is one of those documentaries that I think it's good to, like, it's okay to, it's a good watch, but it's a difficult, like,
it's hard
watch
to
and then
discuss.
tell people. Yeah, literally.
Yeah, that you should actually just watch it. But I think it's good in terms of the themes that it covered and, like, insight into, you know, the mind of people making these decisions. And obviously we wouldn't have that had we not bounced back and forth between these different people. But it's just weird to, like, structure in terms of, like, okay, we're about to discuss this certain thing.
Yeah, exactly. Literally. So the documentary opens up in US of A and it's in Long Hope. And
some podunk town.
Yeah, literally. And we meet like Billy Berkeley. I can't remember how to pronounce this.
Burley.
Yeah, Burley. And
yeah, it was
literally,
Burley.
What more fitting name for somebody who lives in this like podunk?
It's a very town. American, we know everyone who lives in this town kind of city / name. Yeah.
And he reminds me of Caitlyn Jenner in her early stages of transitioning. So like
I thought this. Like, she looks like Caitlyn Jenner before she transitioned.
Yeah. So like not Caitlyn Jenner not when Caitlyn identified as male, but this is Caitlyn Jenner when like reports were kind of coming out about the transition.
That she was like, but we didn't think it was real. We weren't sure. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. That's what she reminds me of. So he reminds me of. I'll definitely post a picture of
Billy
him and campaign.
Billy with a Y.
With Caitlyn. And so we see a montage of like Billy's childhood pictures as a little boy, and he says, and he has this accent, my body told me I belonged with the boys, but my mind was saying I belonged with the girls. And that's really how he talks.
That's actually how he talks. I don't even need to insert it.
Literally, I have done it, and I've done it justice.
For once, we gave the American accent a good shot. For once.
So Billy basically starts telling us about how, like, growing up, he played, like, with his sister's makeup, and he just felt like, you know, he didn't belong. He had a lisp, and people would make fun of him. And so, like, he was going through a lot of, like, turmoil in his head.
Yeah.
So in the 6th grade, he, like, goes to, like, camp, and then his diving coach, like, sexually abused him.
Why is this just this documentary is not even about this, but of course it comes up because people do this. It's so prevalent. It's so prevalent. Like, my God.
Literally. I feel like now it's so bad, but I don't even shudder when I hear it anymore. It's just like, oh, okay.
It's like, oh, you too, right? Yeah.
Literally. So, again, and this is what I mean about documentary bouncing, because we hear this from Billy, and then suddenly we move to somebody called Renee Jacks. And she basically tells us she was born a male and grew up in a conservative Republican family. Her father was an alcoholic and her mum was mentally ill. And she says this thing where she says, well, you know, she just knew that there was no way she was coming out of all of this normal, which I think makes sense, basically.
Yeah.
If you come from a family that has such problems, then it's going to affect you.
And there's trauma and stuff. Yeah.
Exactly. So she said growing up, she hated her penis. Like, she just remembered, like, everything was fine, but if she would look down and see, like, her penis, she'd be really, really, like upset and angry. And she just knew that inside she was meant to be a girl. So at the age of 18, she starts cross-dressing, and a lot of them start with cross-dressing, which
it's like baby
natural.
steps.
Yeah, it's natural. It makes sense. You dress like what you want to be.
And we also have better clothes, so there's that.
Yeah. So she starts cross-dressing at the age of 18, and then 20, she decides to live fully as a woman. So she leaves like her home, her family home, and she decides she's going to live as a woman. And she says that she felt good, and we see all these pictures of her, like, and she looks stunning. Like, I think she looks absolutely stunning.
I think even now, like, she looks so good. I mean, obviously she's old, so she looks like an old woman, but she looks like she's one of those old women that you're like, oh, you were buff back in the day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and she also
you look at her
like
and you're like, yeah, you were buff.
And she looks like one of those old women that you just knew that growing, like, in her youth, she had a lot of, like, sex and guys were all over her.
Yeah, she did the damn thing. Yeah, exactly. Like,
yeah.
Listen, I've been there, done that. Like, there's nothing you can tell me that will shock me because I've done it.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
And also, can I say something as well? Like, I found that, like, her voice... First of all, there's nothing about her that would ever tell me, like, oh, this is a trans woman at all.
Yeah, same.
But, like, her voice, like... Because basically, with Caitlyn Jenner, when Caitlyn talks, you still hear when she was Bruce, basically. Yeah. Like, you don't hear anything.
You still like a... I see,
but with Renee, it sounds like a woman. It doesn't even sound like a woman with a deep voice. It just sounds like
it just sounds like a
it's really, I find it really good.
Yeah,
but I heard a lot of them go for like voice training. Like a lot of people who do the male to female transitioning, they do like voice training and stuff like that. Oh,
really?
Yeah, to get them to talk in a lower like octave. So
wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So basically she says that, you know, going through all of that was fine, like, you know, she would look like a woman and everything, but the problem would be dating, because she looked like a woman, she felt like a woman, and she'd want to date guys, but the problem was she had a penis, and she wouldn't tell these men, and then once they'd find out, they would become violent, and in some cases she'd be beaten, which again, like, this is something that is so common amongst like LGBT community. Like, there was even this case of this girl who was dating a guy, he knew she was trans, but when other people found out the girl was trans, like, basically, like, the way it looks like he killed her, but there's no evidence, they've never found a body or anything.
Yeah, I think with that, like, it's just so... I just don't understand the violence. Like, I can understand that you are dating, you know, a woman, and then you're shocked to find out that, like, she still has a penis, right? I understand the shock. I understand feeling deceived. I understand whatever. But to be violent about that, you could just be like, well, okay, do you know what? This isn't for me. This is not for me. I don't appreciate being lied to or deceived or whatever it is you want to say. But to then be violent, like, I feel like the violence is what then screams homophobia. Because like, I know it doesn't sound like the two are interlinked, but it's like you could just be like, you know what? Yeah, it's like, you know, you could be, you know what, you're a beautiful woman. Like, this isn't for me. Like, this is not what I expected. And walk away, or, you know, whatever, or go whatever. But to be violent, it's like, why are you angry? What are you like? I can understand why someone would be angry. Do you know what I mean? Like, oh, you lied to me. I was really getting on with you, and now whatever. But then it's like, I don't know, man, because you lied to her. Do you know what I mean? I mean, I don't know. I just think to be violent and be angry, and to the point where Renee is literally like, I've been beaten like to within an inch of my life.
Yeah, that's
like,
crazy.
That's not like, it's not an accurate response, or it's not a proportional response to that.
Literally. And
do you get what I mean? Like, it's...
Yeah, I pretty much, I feel the same. Like, I agree. Like, at the end of the day, like, fair enough, you're not attracted to... And things like, it's difficult to say you're not attracted to trans women, because you in some cases, you literally wouldn't know until it got down to the nitty-gritty. But either way, obviously, if you're a heterosexual man, you'd want to be with, like...
someone with a vagina.
Yeah, whatever, blah, blah, blah. So I understand you being like, okay, you know what, cool, this isn't really, like, my thing, whatever, calm. Yeah. But and of course, that's your prerogative. You can then say, no, the violence does come from a place from homophobia, because most of the time, like, the thing will be like, oh, so I fucked a man, or I did, but you didn't. It's like,
so you're gay. Oh, so you're gay. Yeah. It's like, well, no, you're not gay, because you were attracted to her as a woman.
Yeah.
You were attracted to a woman, like...
Yeah, literally. It's crazy. So
this is crazy.
Now we suddenly bounce to a surgeon, and this guy's basically just telling us
from nowhere.
This is how his name is.
His name is Miroslav Georgievic.
I didn't bother because we see him once, but he basically just says, like, he does gender reassignment surgery, and he says like, he basically says he does reassignment surgery and reversal surgery, just kind of highlighting that this is now a thing. And
he's like, I'm getting my money either way,
which way you want it. And basically he's just saying that male to female surgeries are a lot more successful with functioning genitalia than female to male. And it makes a lot of sense because I've done a lot of like research and watched a lot of documentaries and Googled a lot of pictures of like the genitalia post transitioning, because I'm so interested in, like, I look at my vagina and I'm just like, how can a penis be born from this?
Be made from this.
Yeah, and the same way,
it
like,
makes more sense to reduce something, because with the penis, like, you have all of it, right?
Yeah.
And the penis is just like a vagina. It's like, when I think of a penis, like, you have instead of having, like, you just stick a little cone on the pubis. So it's easier to remove that cone and then reconstruct the remainder than have to now find a cone to attach to the pubis.
Even when I look at the penis, I'm like, how does that then become like what I have?
Do you know what I'm more interested in? It's like the functionality of things.
So I know about this. So with the vagina, to make it a penis, what they do is they cut back all the flaps.
Lips.
I'm sorry, I don't know the technical names of all my
the labia. Labia, minora, majora.
Yeah, all of that, all that good stuff. And then the clit becomes the head of the penis.
Oh yeah, they make it grow, isn't it?
And then they take skin grafts from your body, so you have to decide where you want it from. Some people take it from the leg, some people take it from the stomach, some people take it from the arm, and then they use that to make a penis. Now the truth of the matter is, most people who then do this surgery, like, either like have, like, they have small penises basically, because
how much skin can you graft?
Yeah, it's not even just how much skin can you graft, also it's about how far, like, the clit can then extend to allow
how big can you make the clit to then come
so very few times do you get, like, are you gonna get people with, like, average. Some people have, like, micro penises, other people have, like, something
but then
decent.
I was reading about some of the surgeries and, like, the techniques that they use, and there's different ones, right? And then some of them you can get a penile implant afterwards, so that would increase the length of things, but not with all of them.
But it reduces the sensitivity of the head. And also there are different mechanisms to make the penis, like, erect. So, like, some of them it fills with, like, a fluid that's in there, like saline solution, and then when that's full, then there's a mechanism, but it's all in the, like, the balls basically that makes it fill, and then when it fills, then you, like, push that into the penis to erect. But obviously you can't orgasm, and then there's another mechanism where you literally pump it. So, like, it's very easy to tell with, like, a trans guy during sexual intercourse that, okay, this is a trans guy, because literally, like, they'll be pumping their penis. Now, with the male to female transition, that is a lot more difficult to tell, because basically what they do is they cut back the sides of the penis and turn that in on itself and make it
to lips, innit?
To lips. And then they reconnect.
Do you know what? Sorry. Every time I think about the vagina, I think about how Rocky called them lids. He called them lids. It's like her full, thick lids. And it's like, are you talking about the labia minora?
Are you talking about Pringles or what? Like...
And, like, they're not covering anything. They're not covering.
There's nothing hidden. But
it's like he's never seen a vagina in his life.
But yeah, they then take the head and then attach that, and that becomes the clitoris. Now, I was reading, like, tons of articles about this, and basically, like, and also to keep the opening open, they have to like put
use
something
dilators.
And basically I was reading up about different basically experiences women had after transitioning, and they were basically, so this is, like, male to female, and they were basically saying that, like, some of them get wet, because a big misconception is, like, obviously if it's a fake or a plastic, as they call it, vagina or whatever it is, that it doesn't
is it more functional than female to male?
Yeah, but apparently they do. And basically I was reading up and they were saying that, like, some of what comes out is what's that thing men have? The prostrate. So liquid is formed from, like, prostrate
the
stimulation.
Prostate.
And
you're
then
so prostrate. It's not prostrate, prostate.
Prostate, yeah.
You're so
and then
very respectful.
And then it goes from there into, like, the vagina, and that's how it gets wet. So I've given you guys
but then can they orgasm?
They can. One girl was actually squirted, I really just want to see this in action for like research purposes. I'm not joking.
Purposes only. Mm-hmm. No, it's actually very fascinating. It's very, very fascinating.
Yeah. Anyway, so the doctor basically says that the male to female surgeries are more successful, and hence what I've just explained to you guys. So Renee says the main milestone for her was finding somebody who could do her reassignment surgery, and she had a surgery in 1990 and was hoping that, you know, after that she'd feel more comfortable in herself. But she was basically saying that each stage was like chasing a high. So she got on like the hormone she started cross-dressing and she was on a high. She got the hormone replacements on high. Then she was like, okay, she got implants, she was on a high. Then she was like, okay, surely after this final surgery, like this will be the peak and I'll be complete, basically. And what surprised me was that in 1990 there were people doing gender reassignment surgeries, because although I know it's not a new thing, like, oh my gosh, like trans people have been around for a while, I do know that it's not been that long since the surgery itself has been available to people.
I don't know that, like, it didn't really surprise me that it was available then. I think maybe just the quality of the surgery maybe has improved over time, or the popularity of the surgery has been, or like now social media is such a thing that like I know about trans people, or like it's not weird, it's not taboo, do you know what I mean? It's kind of a thing where you know, it's commonplace, like people know. It's not one of those kind of things anymore that you kind of hear talking about. Like, you can see it very plain and clearly, like on social media, on the news and things like that. So it's less hidden away. And so maybe now there's more. And you know, doctors will chase money. So like if there's money in it, I'm sure doctors are going to be like, right, cool, let me try my hand in this thing.
It's true. So now we meet Walt Heyer, and his lower third is activist. And he basically says it's stupid for people to believe they can change gender. And he's like, okay, anyways, we'll get into it. So basically he starts cross-dressing.
Yeah, because when he first talking, I was like, this guy is fucking rude. Like, how? So they basically brought someone to come and debunk this whole thing and make it seem like everyone's stupid. Yeah. But I didn't realise that he was talking about himself.
So he started cross-dressing at a young age, and then at 13 years old, he secretly changes his name to Crystal. And I was like, how secret can it be? Because it's either people in your life are calling you Crystal, or you are just calling yourself Crystal, because you live at home with your family. So what is the truth?
Do you know what? That's a very good point. But speaking of his family, like, he was saying when he was cross-dressing, he would do it at his grandma's house. So his grandma would, like, just give him dresses if he wanted. Like,
God bless grandmas.
And literally, I was like, do you know how sweet that is? Like, just especially back in those days, 'cause he's kind of old now. So I assume he was, you know, he's been around a long time.
Yeah.
So it must have been back in the day. And it's like, you know, when your parents or grandparents or people around you just let you do you.
Do you, be you.
I think a lot of these issues that these people are having is like, they feel like you have to conform to gender roles. Because if I could just be a man or a boy who likes to wear dresses, then I wouldn't then feel like, oh, I have to feel complete by then transitioning. Because I don't feel like everybody have had, like, I definitely believe that people are trans and people feel they're born in the wrong body, and they're like, you know, I need to transition because then I'm going to feel like myself. I'm not going to have this internal battle. But sometimes I do feel like it might just be a case of, I'm a boy who likes to wear dresses sometimes, and I want to put on heels and I like makeup, and that is fine. I'm still I identify as a man, and I want to put on dresses. I still want to be a man. I just want to put on dresses.
And this is why people are like non-binary as well, because they just feel like society's too restrictive in what it expects from one gender and the other.
So how can I subscribe to just the one if this is not how I feel?
Yeah, literally, it's true. The other day I was in Brent Cossack and I saw this guy like in Kurt Geiger, and he was like buying heels. And like the woman was just, the sales assistant was just helping him, and I was like, this is literally like,
this is the world we need.
Yeah, the world we need, and it's the new normal. Like, it's the norm now. Like, people should feel comfortable. Like, if that's what you're on, like, to go and get a pair of heels as a guy, and if that's what,
and it doesn't mean that you're anything less than a guy. You're still a guy.
Literally, you're
if that's what you identify, you're still that person. So then just buy the heels and wear the heels. Like, what's the problem?
And be free.
It's like that guy, you know that guy, I don't know, I've seen him on Twitter. I haven't seen him on Twitter.
One that wears heels.
He's like
and
an old white guy, and he wears heels and dresses. Just on a cas.
Yeah, just casual.
That's what I mean. Just
like,
do your thing.
And he literally wears them, boy. He wears them.
And he has a wife. And he serves every time.
If that was my husband, I'd just be like, bro, I am wearing your shoes all the time, but it probably wouldn't be the same shoe size.
It wouldn't fit. that's the only thing.
But he probably has a better shoe collection than she does.
Yeah,
I just feel it in my bones.
I feel like she's the kind of woman that just doesn't even care about heels like that.
Literally, I can imagine she just wears trainers all the time.
Yeah.
So Crystal... So he changed his name to Crystal, and then at 20 years old, he started He started hormone therapy. So in April of 1983, he underwent gender reassignment surgery and was happily living as Laura Jensen. And again, this was another stunner. Like, as Laura Jensen, you know, he was serving.
He's a buffing.
Yeah,
definitely.
So back to Billy again, and this is just how it jumps. Billy says he was apprehensive.
Billy becomes Billy.
Yeah, Billy becomes Billy. Was apprehensive about going into surgery, and when he came out, you know, he was really relieved to not have a penis. And he started his new life as Billy with an IE. So now Renee, again, this is how it jumps. We're back to Renee, and she's saying that she never had the ability to have intercourse because the vagina was way too small, which is something like you can get fixed, but obviously it's not easy money and all of that, but you can get fixed. And I'm just
she could have had an additional surgery.
Yeah, and I'm just sitting here wondering, so her whole life post reassignment, she never, because that is sad.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's other things you can do besides penetrative sex. Maybe she just didn't have penetrative sex.
Yeah, but, like, you'd want to have penetrative sex.
You want to have penetrative sex. Maybe Renee is like, I'm resigned to the fact that it's just a clit thing for me. Maybe that's her vibe now.
No pun intended. She seems like she wants to have penetrative sex.
Yeah, she does seem sad about it, yeah. She seems kind of resigned to the fact that this is it now.
Yeah, basically. She's just, So basically, she says...
The sex change didn't solve my discomfort. The doctors who are honest will say that the gender dysphoria is always there. And it's because the confusion it's not so much... It starts out being about your anatomy, but really you don't like yourself.
Which...
Right.
I hear that for you, but I don't know that that's the case for everyone. And there's
I think it's quite simplistic.
Yeah, and there's stuff that they say later on that I agree with in relation to specific cases that have been brought. Because I do believe that there are... Well, I do agree because they've come forward and said it themselves, so I can only go by what people have said. But there are people who regret the change and think that they would have been better off with, like, being in therapy, which is fine. But that's not the case for everyone.
For everyone.
Yeah. So Renee says that, like, she would never have chosen this life for herself, like, being a freak in society, quote unquote, which were her words, is, you know, difficult, and that, like, she has very, very, very common for her to have suicidal thoughts. And basically the guy behind the producer asked her, like, so when was your last one? And she was like, yeah, this morning. And she's like, the only reason, like, she hasn't ever done it is because she's a coward at heart, which is so sad to think that, like, people are just living
because I'm scared not to be.
Yeah, and people just living their lives in a constant state of, like, being suicidal. Like, it's not like a period or what, it's like just their lives, basically. It's like the norm. So Walt says because he doesn't want people around him to know what he's done, he moves around a lot, and he's, you know, been detransitioned for 20 years now, and from, you know, this he began to help people who wanted to detransition. Which
Did you do the bit where he talks about the fact that he attempted suicide using cocaine?
No, I didn't. But you can talk about
but who used cocaine? Do you use cocaine to try and die, or
people do? They OD. And if you have it readily available, and obviously, like, it's a drug, so you might not know.
I suppose, I guess I don't think about cocaine as, like, fentanyl or, like, crack in the same way.
Oh no, was it not Narcos? What's the other drug show? Power. Yeah, they there was a time when one of the, like, you know, the top drug lords give it to people to sell, and then they give it to
Lobos.
So there was a time when the Lobos kind of guy didn't sell it, and then the main ogre on top came and, like, made them do, like, this. The two of them, him and his wife, do, like, this massive. These, like, I think it was like 20 lines of coke, and they died immediately. Like,
yeah. I guess because it's marketed as, like, a party drug, so you just say woo. And then you can
it's only
I guess you can actually die from
and also another fun, I don't know if this is fun, actually it's not fun, it's quite morbid, but another fun fact about drug taking. Basically your body reacts to drugs based on, like, I don't know how to explain this because I saw it on Twitter. I've seen this. Reacts. I didn't know this. So, like, if every day I do a line of coke in my bedroom, my body will regulate itself at that time to prepare for the drug intake. And I don't know what enzymes, whatever is released to regulate itself. But say tomorrow I decide, oh, I'm going to go to a party at like, I don't know, Sushi Samba, for example. And I'm going to do a line of coke in the toilet at night. My body isn't prepared for that. So it wouldn't
It's like,
regulate
whoa,
itself.
what are you doing?
And that's why when you overdose. And she was basically saying that's why you find that a lot of like people who OD like in hotel rooms, like, because people think they OD there because they go there to kill themselves, but it's because it's out of the routine. So like somebody like Whitney, for example, she used the example, like she did it outside of her normal routine, so her body didn't regulate itself. So it's quite likely that she took the same amount that she would ordinarily take and been fine, but because she stepped out, which I thought was really interesting. And again, it just shows that the human body is such a wonderful like design, like it does
like it wants you to live, like it literally everything it's doing is for you to be comfortable and alive, like even when it hurts, like it's trying to just keep you alive and keep you okay.
It's true. Even when you're like super tired, it's because your body is telling you need to rest.
And I need to start listening to her because I'm not doing that.
So Billy and Walt connected via this site that Walt created for people who want to detransition.
Did you go on the website?
No, I didn't. Did you?
I went on the website. Yeah, it's a pretty good website, you know. It's called Sexchangercom. Like, normally these websites that they feature on these documentaries are just some higgy-hagger, like, websites. But this is really well put together. It's actually, I was really proud. I was like, wow, okay, well.
I'll go on it after.
Yeah. Sexchangercom. It's a really good website.
So obviously, as you know, Billy detransitioned also. So Billy and Walt connect via the site, and then we learned that they both have sexual abuse in common, which they both kind of credit as a catalyst for like the events that follow.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. Yeah, well, but then that kind of ties into Renee's point of like hating yourself or not liking yourself, even though there's no reason to. It's not your fault in that situation. Yeah. But it's like it happens to you, and this is the body it happened in. So perhaps if I change, I don't know. I don't know the psychology behind it, but I think it's interesting that they both experienced that. Yeah.
So now we learn a bit more about Billy's detransitioning. So basically, he says that 7 years after transitioning, he didn't feel right, and he just couldn't assimilate into being a woman, and he wanted to retransition or detransition back to being a guy. And yeah, I mean, I thought he was serving looks as a woman, but he didn't feel that way. And again, I mean, it's not about how you think you look or whatever. If you don't feel like you're in the right body, then nobody can tell. It doesn't matter how much I tell you you're serving looks. Nobody can tell you. So basically, he said that he did it with God's help. Like, Billy is strong in his faith. Like, even in the beginning of the documentary, he's, like, reading his Bible and all of that.
Oh, literally. In the trailer, you heard it. I'm like, all right, Billy.
Yeah. So, Renee basically says, we're drawing to an end now. We're back to Renee. And basically, she says that after 60 years of, you know, being 60 years old and being transitioned for a lifetime, it makes no sense, nor does it benefit her to go back to being a man. However, what she does think is important is to share her regrets with young people. And you know what? I actually agree because, like recently I saw this like news clip or article of this kid that was like 4 years old that wanted to like transition. And then like the parents were like, supporting the kid on the like transitioning journey. And a lot of people say, like, I've spoken to a lot, well, not even just spoken to, you watch documentaries here, a lot of people say like from a young age they knew they were trans, which I agree, you can, but there are also some people, because I think when you're a kid, gender is so fluid, like you know, I never grew up really knowing that I was a girl other than people telling me I was a girl. I liked what I liked.
But I think that's when people allow you to be, because even with Walt, with his whole grandma letting him try on dresses, his parents banned him from going to his grandma's house after they found that she gave him a dress. So it's the people around you that kind of impact the way that you feel.
Yeah, I agree, but I agree, but either way, my point just is, I do think that young people deserve to see the full picture before they make certain changes to their bodies that like they may regret. And this is not to say that transitioning is something everybody regrets. Some people don't, but there are people who later on in life wish they hadn't. especially because like for some people it might affect like fertility or this or that, I don't know, but either way I think what her point standing that she should be somebody that speaks to young people, I agree with. Like if somebody's in the process of transitioning, they go through all the like mental health kind of conversations, making sure that they're able to start that journey. I do think speaking to somebody who's been through it and regrets it is also like important.
It gives you another point of view.
Yeah, another point of view.
I think sometimes, you know what it is? I think people are very afraid to be painted with your transphobic brush. And so if you're a parent that says, no, I don't think you should transition right now, it could very much be interpreted as, oh, I don't want you to be trans, oh, you shouldn't be trans. And that, I don't think that, well, that probably is the case most times, but I don't think it should be the case. I think it's a case of, look, if you're trans, I understand that. You know, you are trans, I understand that you feel you're in the wrong body, but give it some time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if what is it? Is it that you feel like you want to wear dresses and you attribute that to what girls do, and so you want to be a girl? Because if that's the case, you can just wear the dresses and not be a girl. Like, that's absolutely fine as well. Do you know what I mean?
It's such a tough one as well because, again, I was watching this documentary about kids transitioning. And so like some of the kids were like 10, 11, and obviously these kids were clued the fuck up because this is what they wanted to do. And like one of them was like 10 and was transitioning to it was female to male transition. And basically he was saying that like he wants to do this stuff now because he doesn't want puberty to hit. And like obviously the mum was crying, just saying like, just wait, I know that you know. And then basically like he was saying like, you don't even have a clue like how devastating like puberty is gonna be for me, because and a lot of trans people actually like struggle like the most with puberty, because obviously that's when your body goes through all the changes. So you get like your breasts, your period.
Your body's telling you are more of this gender that you don't want to be.
Literally. So basically like he was just saying that like already looking at my vagina is so much stress for me on a daily basis. I do not want to grow breasts.
Like imagine having to bleed and now you've got every month. And this is the thing, like I understand the whole weight process, but then it's easy to say that from, like again, it's a place of privilege because you've not experienced that. But say like, I hate the fact I have a vagina. I hate the fact I have a penis. And every single day, is that what Renee, was it Renee or whoever at the beginning of the episode was saying, like every time I get in the shower, I'm reminded of this thing that I absolutely hate. And it's like, you're telling me that I should wait so that this thing can become bigger or more prominent, or I'm reminded of it every single month. Like when really and truly we could just curb this now. I know what I'm on. Why go through all of that and then have to transition later on if that's still what they want? So it's difficult. I think it's difficult, and it's hard to tell somebody who is trans or who believes they are trans to like what to do. And sometimes in life, like you're gonna have regrets. Like you're gonna have to make decisions, and you may or may not regret them. You just have to make the choices.
And to be fair, like the amount of checks people have to go through before they can transition is a very small like minority of people, which is why I thought this documentary was interesting. It's a very small group of people who regret that transition, because you go through so much and you face so much adversity just to get to the...
It's a lot. It's not an easy ride.
Yeah, so it's very few people, but I don't know. I agree with her, though, that she should share her story. So Walt said...
I think it's safe to say that when somebody has been cross-dressed and affirmed physically abused and sexually abused, that psychotherapy is the most needed therapy, not hormones and surgery.
I think it's safe to say that when somebody has been cross-dressed, affirmed physically abused, I didn't know what he meant by affirmed, but affirmed physically abused, sexually abused, that psychotherapy is the most needed therapy, not hormones and surgery. And again, that has been cross-dressed. Like, nobody forced you to cross-dress. It's not like somebody forced you. But either way, I just think everything from physically abused to sexually abused, you should have therapy. And this is why there's so many checks before people... I don't know if checks is the right word, but people who are transitioning go through a lot of therapy before they can transition.
And counselling.
In counselling, because these things need to be... So, okay, yes, you were sexually abused. Yes, you were physically abused. Let's heal from that. Do you still then want to go ahead with this decision?
Yeah. I think, and that's what it is. Like, it's not about dissuading you from making the decision that you're making. I think it's just about making sure that, like, you are sure that this is what you want to do. This is not, you know, this is not like a plaster that you're putting on a deeper issue, because it's a big plaster to put on. Like,
And also, Walt needs to know that, like, two things can be true. Like, somebody who's been through all that can need therapy, but also still want to transition. So,
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
yeah. So we now meet Billy's wife, who he met in 2010 at church. And guys, she looks exactly like Cathy Bates from AHS. Do you know who Cathy Bates is? You do know who she is. You just don't remember. Like, you just don't know her name. But she's been in loads of other things. She was in Titanic. Have you watched Titanic?
No. I can't see your face. I've got Google open. No, I mean, I don't. Oh, I know her. Oh my God, she's in The Office as well.
Yeah. Have you not watched Titanic?
No, I don't think so. I'm sure I've come across it, but like I've not sat down and watched Titanic. I've never watched Titanic. No. I know about the wood, then they're on they're floating, and then they're like, there's enough space.
But can I just ask why?
I mean, I just never felt the need. I know what happens.
It's not a thing about feeling the need. Like, it's like, but why? So it never was showing on TV, like, it was.
Yeah, maybe that's what I'm saying. I'm sure I've come across it, but like I've never sat down and been like, yeah, let me just watch Titanic. I don't think I've watched Titanic from beginning to end. You look very confused. I'm not sure why.
This is why you're so cold. I'm telling you guys.
Because I didn't watch Titanic.
She has no. Yes, Titanic is like the ultimate. That's where like the love starts in your heart from Titanic.
No, it was Lion King for me.
No. That's fucking
anyway,
plotting.
She was also in The Office. She was the Florida woman.
Yeah, she was. But basically, this woman looks exactly like her, especially now because Cathy Bates has lost a lot of weight. And by the way, can I just say, like, Cathy Bates is exactly like the one who always knows the assignment and does it right. Like,
who was she in Titanic?
So she was just one of the rich folk that.
I was gonna say, because she wasn't any of the main two.
No, she wasn't meant. No, because it was Kate Winslet.
Titanic, is it a real story?
The story of the ship
I know Leo is in it.
The story of the ship is, but like the love story is fabricated. I mean, there could have been two lovers on there, but yeah.
Well, who will ever know?
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really taken aback by today's.
That I haven't watched Titanic.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you'll get.
Have you watched Grease?
Yeah, I've seen Grease.
Have you seen Sound of Music?
Of course, I've seen Sound of Music. I'm not.
No, don't say of course. Don't say of course.
Sound of Music is.
Sound of Music
is a staple.
Have you watched Dreamgirls?
Can you get off right now off my screen? You know I've seen Dreamgirls. I had the fucking DVD. I even saw it in the cinema.
There are a lot of classics that you haven't watched, so I just need to do my checks. I'm doing my CRB right now.
Well, it's too late now. You're in love already.
I did it way too late. I should ask this at the beginning.
You know that I've seen Dreamgirls. I haven't seen Harry Potter. You know I haven't seen Harry Potter.
Yeah, I know that. Have you seen The Hobbit?
No.
Lion,
that one was my own being. That wasn't because my mum was doing up Christianity. Huh?
Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe?
Yeah, I've seen that one. That's the C.S. Lewis guy.
Yeah. My dad made me read, my dad used to make me read all these books.
Yeah, they loved him because he's a Christian. So they were probably like, oh, he's a Christian. You should read this book. You should watch this movie.
I didn't know he was a Christian. But my dad just used to make me read all these classics. Like, he made me read The Odyssey at, 7. You didn't do classics, but it's this, massive book. And this is, okay, for reference, this is a book I later went on to do for GCSE classics.
You were like,
he made me read
hello,
at
my
7.
old friend.
And he was literally, I was like, oh, God. And he would always make us write these essays. And then my mum used to make me read, Enid Blyton. The famous 5. Is that what her books are called?
I hope their plan worked because I don't see none of that influence
today.
No,
I'm still a raggedy bitch. But will I do this to my children? Yes. You will read books and write essays.
Wow. So I hope you don't complain. I hope that was happy thoughts, happy memories.
No, but you know, it's good. It's good for kids, and especially in this day and age because there's just way too much technology. I think children need to flip and read once in a while. Pick up a book and educate yourself.
But Enid Blyton. Not even Mallory Blackman. Enid Blyton.
They will read appropriate books for their time, but they will read. Okay. And they'll also read classics. There's some books I think... They're books and movies I think people should just watch.
Oh, do you know what book I really love?
What?
What is it called? I don't remember what it's called. Is it The Alchemist?
No,
that's what the front cover looks like.
Isn't it like a restaurant?
Oh my God, it was a book first, sis. Yeah, that is a book, but that's not the book I'm talking about. Oh, what book am I talking about? It's such a good book. And it's about nothing. It's about a boy in boarding school. But it's so good.
I don't know what
I can
that
see it's
is.
like a white cover and it's got like red on the bottom. Oh, okay. Well, when I remember, I'll
Yeah.
tell no one because I know you won't care. So let's continue.
So Walt also credits God for his detransition and basically says he has this like encounter with God where God picks him up.
Catcher in the Rye.
Oh,
That's
I've
what
heard
it's
of that. I
called.
haven't read it.
It's a good book. I really like it.
So basically he has this encounter with God. God supports him through his detransitioning, and he says, yeah, like he knows that, you know, God was real because people in his position have died, and which is true. And he said he's still alive and he's been married and he's happy.
He's happy, yeah.
So we just see Billy and his wife walking, and he talks a lot, and she just...
He does.
Yeah. So basically he says he's so happy with who he is now and how he's living his life. And, you know, he tells us that... he actually does tell us previously that they are sexually intimate, but he can't reach orgasm. I just...
Yeah, but that's because...
Yeah, I just basically took it as he gives a lot of good heads. I hope it's good, but...
Yeah, it has to be.
And yeah, that's basically the documentary, guys. I would say watch it. It's a good watch. It's quick, you know, and...
It was on YouTube.
Yeah, it was on YouTube, and it's difficult to explain because it jumps a lot, so it's difficult to like follow each story like in terms of narrating it.
Yeah, and also you can see the people, you can see their reactions, you can hear their voices, like...
Yeah.
I'd say it's worth a watch.
I would too. So next week we are doing a... Drum roll, please.
Credits! Yay!
Much Ado About Nothing.
Yeah, we're gonna just chat. We'll figure it out as time goes by.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. Where can the people find you?
So they can find us on Instagram and Twitter and Facebook and YouTube and TikTok at 2girls1doc, but there is an underscore for TikTok. They can find me on Instagram at Beedie on Eyewear and also beedieoneyewear.com. And they can find you on Instagram and Twitter, you know, on Twitter at 4ends with 2 and also at her other podcast, Character Replay.
Yes, guys. And can we all sign a petition to make Beedie watch Titanic?
No.
I feel like if a lot of listeners requested that you do it, because you don't listen to me.
But why would they? Titanic is not a documentary. What's my own?
No, but come on.
Is it long? It
come
seems like it's long.
The hell on.
But as in, I've made it this far.
I don't really ask you for much. I don't.
You ask me for the world.
But this, I will really request of you.
When you watch Drag Race, I watch Titanic. When you watch Drag Race, I watch Titanic.
Okay, cool. But you don't even understand the depth of like Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On. Like, yeah, you hear it, but you don't understand like.
Near far, my arms are out open in the boat and that. That's what I'm saying. I don't need to watch it. I get it. I get the references. I get the memes. Like, what else is there? What am I watching it for now? Just for bants? When you watch Drag Race, I will watch Titanic.
I remember the first time I watched it on the couch with my mum.
First time you watched what? Titanic?
So yeah.
You were crying? Okay.
Yeah, because Jack died.
I don't want to cry. See, and now I know Jack dies. To be honest, I believe he dies.
And you definitely wouldn't cry, but...
What do you mean?
You wouldn't cry.
Catch me on the right week. That week before my period, anything can happen.
All right, guys. We will be here next week.
Yeah, there's no trailer because it's a credits, but see ya.
Yeah. Bye. So she starts cross-dressing. She's